Alright class, we just came from the section where we answered the essential question, how do I multiply monomials? I want to just touch on something briefly, this first word problem, before we go to the more difficult word problem. And that is, when you saw that I took the x equals 9 and I plugged that into our equation for the area of this painting. Notice again how when I plugged in the 9 for all of the variables x, the variable x, I wrote it in parentheses. The reason why this is this will save you some time. If you want to do this by hand, you could have said, okay, so area is 9 squared, that's 81, minus 2 times 9 is 18, 81 minus 18 is 63. But you can save yourself some time. That's why you have a calculator. When you plug the x value equal to 9 in here and you use parentheses in your calculator, you can actually then just type that equation into your calculator all at one time and use your parentheses just like you wrote them. Again, let's take a look at this. I'm going to start with parentheses. I put the 9, close parentheses. Now I'm going to square that. On your calculator, you'll usually see a key that says it has x squared. This actually has x hat squared. That also means x squared. So this actually means raise 9 to the power of 2. Your calculator will probably just say 9 squared at this point. And then I just subtract 2, and then again plug in 9 in parentheses. When you do it this way, you don't have to break the equation down into multiple steps. Just do it all at one time, press equal, and you'll get your final answer. So we'll see this again as we solve this next one. Get good at using your calculator and you will save yourself a lot of time. Okay, here's our word problem to wrap this up. A classroom has a length that is 8 feet more than its width. 8 feet more than its width. If the area of the classroom is 1,286 feet squared, what are the dimensions of the classroom? So you can see they're giving us the area now. In the previous question we had to find the area. In this question they're giving us the area and they're asking us what are the dimensions. When it says dimensions, they want to know what the length and the width are. So if we, they want to know the actual length and width, not just the expressions for the length and width. So let's go ahead and make our diagram. We're going to go ahead and pretend we're drawing a rectangular classroom. And let's go ahead and write in here, we know that the length is 8 feet more than the width. That means if this is the width, and we represent that as x, here's our width, then the length is 8 feet more. More means add. So we're going to go ahead and say this must be x plus 8. And when you do this, class, just kind of talk through it with yourself one more time. Okay, do I have this right? I know the length is 8 more than the width. Well, if that's the width, that's 8 more, so it looks good. Talk it through, make sure it makes sense to you. And now we can go ahead and write this as an equation. The area, if we know the area of a rectangle is length times width, then we know that the area of this one, this room, is length times width. And actually, length times width, if you look at it, the x plus 8 is actually the length and the x is the width. It doesn't matter. When we multiply things together, we can write them in whatever order we want. And this is the order that we're most familiar with. Okay. So we know here's our equation for the area of this, but there's one difference. It's telling us that the area of this classroom is 1,286 feet squared. So we can actually take this symbol away, this area away, and we can write in there 1,286. So if area equals length times width, then area equals length times width. Let's rewrite this. We can simplify this. 1286 is equal to, remember, we're going to go ahead and distribute the x to the x. and the x to the 8. X times x to the first plus the first. So x to the 1 plus 1, which is x squared. And x times 8 is just 8x. So here is, I'm going to circle this, here is our equation that we have to solve. Because we can't really verify what the actual dimensions of this classroom are until we know what x is. Now here's the problem with this question. You have not learned how to solve this kind of equation before. You've solved linear equations when there's no exponent that you did last year and previous years. Here we're trying to solve with an equation that has a squared term, and eventually we're going to teach you some cool math methods to actually find the value of x. But we don't know those methods yet. So we're going to have to do something that you've done before on previous tests, and that is guess and check. We're going to guess some numbers until we get close, and that's what we're going to use as our estimated answer, because we can't find an exact answer. So the way sometimes you do this is you go ahead and just draw a table. So on your paper, if you would, just go ahead and draw a table over here. And let's go ahead, hang on a sec, let's divide this into 2 sections. Actually, I want to make this a line, so let's draw 2 sections. You can sketch this out on your paper. You don't have to draw exactly, but try to make it neat, of course, so at least you can read it. And let's put 3 answers in here. Usually when you guess and check, you just keep on guessing until you get something that's close, but we're going to actually write the data down so you can see where we came from. So in this, whoops, I don't want that to be green. I don't want that to be blue. Let's try this again. So there's our table. And the first column is going to be our x value, and our second column is going to be our y value. You've seen xy tables before. Alright, now the question is, you're going to find the values of x, plug them in, and see how close you can get to 1286. Now when I did this problem originally, it took me a little while to actually come up with close numbers. So I'm gonna try 20 first. So remember, we always plug in our x value in parentheses. So I'm gonna put in parentheses 20 squared plus 8 times 20. Let's see what happens when I hit that. 560. Okay, that's way too low. We got to get to 1286. Let's try 30. So I'm going to try 30 in parentheses, 30 squared plus, whoops, wrong key, 30 squared plus 8 times 30. Can't get that key. And there we go, press equal. 1140. Oh, we're getting a lot closer. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Actually, you know what? Let's try 31 and see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and type in 31 squared plus 8 times 31. Oh, 1209. All right, that's getting pretty close. Let's put that one in. So 31. So when x is 31, we're at 1209. The area was 1209. All right, let's do 32. Let's move up to the next number. So we're going to square 32. And we're going to add 8 times. So you can do this a lot faster in your calculator than I can do on the screen. 1264. So 32 is 1264. Actually, you know what? That maybe doesn't look right. Let's take a look at it again one more time. I'm going to put that in. 32 squared plus 8 times 32. I might have typed that wrong. 1280. That makes more sense. This would be actually 1280. Okay. And we're not quite there yet. See how we're still too low? Let's do 33 and see how close that is, just in case that's a better one. So we're going to square 33. plus 8 times 33. And that's 1353. So 33 is 1353. So it took a little bit of guessing on here. Now that's too high. Now what you do is you look at your table and you pick the number that's closest to this area. It doesn't matter whether it's higher or lower, it's just the one that's closest. So in this case, you can see that 32 is the best answer in this case. 32 gets us very close to our actual area of 1286. So that means for our final answer, x is going to be, it's not exactly 32, it's going to be approximately, remember this symbol from previous years, approximately 32. Okay, if x is approximately 32, that means our width, which is equal to x, is equal to 32, and our unit of measure is feet, and our length is equal to x plus 8, and that's 32 plus 8. Let me move this over. Kind of didn't get this lined up right. I'm going to slide this over so I stay inside our box. 32 plus 8, which is approximately 40 feet. So there are our dimensions. The width is approximately 32 feet. The length is approximately 40 feet. If I had this question on the test, I would probably tell you that you need to write out the answer in sentence form. So the way we'd write this is we could say the dimensions are approximately, and I abbreviate that APPROX. That doesn't look very neat. Are approximately 32 feet by 40 feet. So this is an example of when it asks you to solve this problem, you don't know how to find x directly, you're going to have to make a table and just start plugging in numbers until you get a group of numbers that are close to your answer. Pick the one that ends up being the closest to what you want the area of this classroom to be, and that will give you your approximate dimensions.